I will not invest with you into anything until we sit down and we break out and we understand your business. We call it our strategic finance play, where we sit down and we look at this, because if the business is not stable and predictable, then we have no business investing. That puts too much risk, because the investing world is dominated by the 93% of people who have steady, stable jobs. And so all the advice and the analysis and the thought process, it all goes toward that. And the mentality that we try to instill across the board, like good investing is based in good assets. Like that's the core to what we're doing. But most people haven't looked at their business through the lens of an asset. They've just looked at it through the lens of income or promotions. Like I laugh, like we can make fun of W-2 people who are like, oh, they're living paycheck to paycheck. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're probably living launch to launch or promotion to promotion. Like you're not any better, right? Unless we've gone in and we've really sort of engineered profitability and stability into our business. So we'll actually, like I said, I will not do anything to jeopardize the stability and longevity of a business, for the sake of investing or generating a rate of return. And so we come in and we start to understand the fundamental principles. How do we convert an income machine like a funnel or a promotion or whatever that is, and turn it into a business, which is an asset that can produce sustainable value with our, continued reduced involvement. And until we've done that, that's the only place we as business owners ought to invest. Is we should be investing time, effort, energy, expertise back into converting our income machine into an asset, to then go buy assets that are outside of the business, which we ultimately need to create long-standing wealth. But I've seen many, many times poor decisions, really poor results coming from not stabilizing the underlying business. And that's where we always start there.
100%. So I think I follow along with a lot of the concepts there. And one of the things that is a key sustainable idea to me is like, for example, anything that has to do with recurring billing that you can do with clients that you can sustainably account for month over month. So how do you guys kind of like help get some of those items in place and things of that nature?
What's awesome about business owners is they know how to solve problems as long as they can see the problem. So a lot of it is the opposite of where we're exposing all the risk. Like we'll come into businesses, oh, I'm doing great, I'm crushing all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, what would happen, just theoretically, if your ad spend increased by your cost to acquire a client increased by 50%? What would happen to your business? And they're like, I don't have any idea. So we come in and we run the numbers and it totally melts down and collapses. We're like, okay, we need to figure out, exactly where these risk, potentials come in. So then we can then start to solve them. And once pointed out, our business owners are very good at being like, oh, okay, cool. I could figure out how to solve that. But the trap we fall into as business owners is, as we're building a business, we do something and it works. And so then we want to do more of what works. And that makes sense. But if we do that forever, the phrase I always like to tell people is, well, no tree grows to the sky. If you think about it, it's obvious, right? Eventually everything reaches a maximum potential, right? Another way to look at that is there's diminishing returns to an activity. Each time we do something, we get less of a result than we did the time before, or we'll find a point. So a lot of it comes in and says, where are we already hitting diminishing returns, or where has our tree already grown as tall as it's going to grow? And where do we need to shift focus? And it's super hard because but the webinar works so well. Why would I just not keep doing that? Like, well, every time we do it, our revenue goes up, but our cost to acquire a client goes up, our cost of fulfillment goes up, like whatever else attached to that, we're not actually generating new margins. So we go through, break the business down into basic components, top line revenue, gross margin is the amount that your business gets to keep, and then your profit is the amount that you get to keep. And understanding how our business is structured, but not just how it's structured, where it's going. The next dollar that comes in, how's that going to fall through? And that some of you are probably like already falling asleep. You're like, Brad, this sounds really super boring. But like, I promise you, like when you can see the business as a machine that you can actually predict, you will geek out and you will absolutely love it. And so we build those in and we just look for the areas that say, hey, we've underinvested here, we've overinvested here, and we need to stop doing that, even though, like, not stop doing it, just stop doing more of it and start allocating new dollars to building other things. And a lot of it, it's the boring stuff. It's training and team, and it's support, and it's It's replication of ideas and getting you out of the seat of, well, everybody has to talk to John in order to get a result, whatever that would be. And it's sitting down and turning the knowledge that we have, the processes, the systems, the outcomes into actual assets, or it's starting to bring in other team members that are better than us in those areas that can be done. So one major area in the world of internet marketing is recurring revenue. It's huge. It's generally a big lever that we look for. But like I said, it goes beyond that because that revenue won't sustain without the assets. Usually we don't have recurring revenue, not because we don't know about it. We don't actually know how to provide the value to our clients in that way. And so it's actually re-engineering the business with some of those angles, or it might be lead gen, right? Let's not focus on more cold traffic. Let's continue to do the cold traffic we're doing. But what if we improved nurture campaigns, or what if we improved organic traffic, or what if we created some strategic partnerships? Or instead of that, what if we vertically integrated? The next problem our client has to solve is this. Rather than going and getting more clients, why don't we get more revenue out of the clients we already have? And let's vertically integrate a product and have something else to sell. Or why don't we JV into something else? And like I said, so there's different levers that we can pull there, and they're unique to each client. But until we solve that and be able to answer a question of what would you do if, right? And pick the worst thing you can imagine to your business, then run a scenario and say, what would I do? Well, that's what we should just do now instead of waiting until the hurricane comes through, right? The tornado tears apart, our trailer. We should just start doing those things now.
If you're interested in learning more about the tidbits and advice that they have, then you should consider subscribing to the 2 Comma Club newsletter, where you'll get daily updates and advice on the podcast and the things that we are learning from the individuals who have made at least $1 million. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com or click the link in the description down below and subscribe.